What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Different Lens podcast. My name is Juan Felipe Sierra. I've been in the entertainment industry for the past 13 years, and this is...
And I'm Daniel, just your usual nerd. I like games, movies, music, anime, everything.
The whole shebang.
Yeah, everything.
All right, so what do we have for today?
All right, so today I want to talk about a very controversial topic, but I think we need to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
And the elephant in the room that I want to address today is fan service.
Oh, shit.
Fan service across the medias, right? Anime, games, movies. I feel like it's been good and bad, right? Because, let's not be completely biased here and say it's all negative, because it hasn't all been negative, right? If we just look at, let's say, Marvel, right? Some fan servicing that they've done is worked and it's been good.
Correct.
But it hasn't always been working out the best possible way. So I kind of want to explore that and talk a little bit about that. And we can start kind of, separating a little bit, right? Games, anime, music, and see how fan service has affected all of those. Okay. Again, this is our opinion. Just feel free to leave us down in the comments what you think. But without further ado, the first thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of like in the whole entire media, is over-sexualization. Is that how you say it?
Sexualization.
Yeah.
Sexualization, yeah.
And in general terms, how do you feel about that?
So, well, we start strong.
Yeah, of course.
We always know that sex sells. It's something that is being told throughout media as a whole. But I do think that it gets to a point where it just gets ridiculous. Like, look at reggaeton, look at rap, look at, even country and rock and, even like boleros before that everything was about like sleeping together. And it was about like, even like R&B, all of that is about sex, is about, making love. It's about, so it gets to a point where it does get a little tired that you can't go anywhere without either boobs in your face or a giant jockstrap,
Do you think it has been changing a little bit with this whole, I don't want to say cultural appropriation, because I don't think that's right, but do you think it has gotten better now with as the generations progress and we're kind of taking a little more conscious in certain things of being a little bit more conscious about what we show and what we don't show? Do you think it has affected it a little bit in a positive way, or?
Well, it depends. It depends on the kind of medium and the kind of creator, because I've actually seen it get worse before it got better. There's a lot of things that, especially like when it comes to like video games and manga specific and anime specifically, it just goes overboard.
Yeah.
There are people that over criticize that to the degree that it's like, okay, it's okay, take a chill pill, we understand. But they do have really valid points that every woman, well, most women in games and in anime are either, somebody that needs to get rescued or just a pair of tits with kind of a face.
Yeah, it has, for sure, I believe it has been very difficult for female gamers to get really into it and kind of feel that they can identify themselves in some sort of way with the characters, just because it's that, right? Even, and we've seen it in the biggest franchises happening too, and one of my favorite games to this day still is Dead or Alive.
And that's
Dead or Alive,
galore.
Exactly. Yeah. And the jiggle and everything.
Oh yeah, the jiggle physics.
And I'm not saying necessarily it's like one of my favorites, but I just enjoyed it a lot when I played it. And I grew up playing this as a kid, believe it or not. I played it on the Sega Dreamcast.
Jesus, dude.
And it was awesome. It was fun. Like, it was a fun fighting game. Like, mechanics are cool. But, you see a lot of that sexualization of the women, right? Like, where like you unlock a special attire and it's like a bikini.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like...
Yeah, there's even a specific game that it's Dead or Alive, like beach.
It's something. It's like beach games.
Yeah,
and it's
like
all
beach
the women.
battles, something like that. But like I do feel that there are a lot of over-sexualization of women. It's difficult to over-sexualize men, especially because most of either games or I don't want to say media as a whole, but like games and anime specifically, it's geared towards men. It's geared towards boys. It's geared towards teenagers, but mostly it's male-oriented. The audience is more male oriented. Let's not go too far. Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals, every single female character, it's ridiculously over-sexualized. To the point where, you know, it gets to a point where it's like, I can't play as her without staring at her ass, which is not a bad thing. But it gets to a point where it's like women cannot enjoy playing as a woman because she's either showing half her ass or her suit is so tight that all you see are her tits and her ass.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point. That I believe is it's where it goes into that crosses the line where it becomes not so good, because you start losing a little bit of that connectivity with the character, right? I mean, and not to say that we're gonna connect with like the Hulk or something, right?
Yeah,
because obviously we're not. The characters are on purposely made bigger, right? Like you look at Magneto. Magneto is this hunking grandpa, is like humongous, right? So it's not necessarily, but definitely one of the things that I've noticed as well is it's the hard time that studios at least have had of detaching themselves from making like uglier characters.
Correct.
It has always been the prettiest character, the good looking women, the good looking main character, right? Which even when the studio tried to make a character maybe look a little bit more or less this, you know, gorgeous model,
Correct.
which happened to Star Wars Outlaws, when the main character came out, people were just immediately saying she looks ugly. And I'm like, okay, so it's a problem when it looks too pretty, but it also is a problem when it doesn't look
pretty enough,
right? When it looks more normal.
Correct. And that's where I do like, if we compare like Marvel Rivals to Overwatch, I think Overwatch designs are much better in so many ways. So, for example, like Sombra or Sumatra or like all the characters, they're all covered up. They're all like, yes, there's some hints of femininity.
Yeah.
Especially some like a character like Sumatra. But it's not like all that they are is a piece of flesh.
Correct.
And I think that it does need to scale back a little bit. Even like, I don't know if you know what gooning is.
No.
So gooning, like now in our current space, means somebody that is just like looking at things for the sexual purpose of it. So they call Marvel Rivals the Gooner Squad.
Okay.
Because every character just looks ridiculously horny, you know?
Right.
And that's why I prefer somebody like, you know, what Neil Druckmann did for Ellie in The Last of Us, that he literally said, and if you can watch it on the documentary that came out from him, he said, I want to create a character that will become a badass woman. I want to create every single woman, like a female character. I want it to be a badass. I wanted her to be just a fucking powerhouse.
Though you could argue that in The Last of Us, the characters are still somewhat in the prettier side, the models.
There's fine.
Really a few here and there that aren't.
Yeah.
But even
I don't think the zombies are very pretty.
But even Joel, you know, they call him like a DILF and stuff like that. I mean, it's across the board where we still have had a very hard time detaching from making the pretty character the main character. And for example, if we just look at anime, that's one of the main things in anime. Like most of the characters are this very gorgeous characters, right?
Yeah, but there is a psychological factor when it comes to that, and it's that if we find somebody attractive, we tend to trust them more. So that's why they
for sure
make them prettier, so that we are like, okay, whatever you're doing, I can vibe with.
Correct. You know? And that's one of the things what I really appreciated originally from Spider-Man of having a mask, right? Which is the statement of anybody could be under the mask, right? It doesn't matter the color, it doesn't matter the gender. Anybody could be under the mask. And I appreciate that because it opens the opportunity for other people to really connect, right? Every person can connect.
Yeah.
Whereas you see the character is just this pretty, you know, really tall man and you know, you're like, well, you know, I can't really fully relate.
That's why to me, like, Wolverine is a much more relatable character in that sense. A, he's short as shit. And B, he's kind of ugly, and he's just obnoxious and kind of combative with everything. I relate to that a lot. I'm short. I'm not the prettiest, and I'm kind of a prick in a lot of ways. But yeah, so I prefer a character that is just living their life and not necessarily just like, I have to look the best ever, or unless the character demands it. Like, for example, you know, Emma Frost. In the comics, she's a seductress. She's somebody that is plays mind games, both physically but also literally mentally.
Right.
So I'm perfectly fine with that. But when they, for example, over-sexualize somebody like Kitty Pryde, that she's a teenager, come on, guys. Or like, even stuff like My Hero Academia, where
A lot of them
are just so over-sexualized that it's like, bro, she's 15. Calm down. And yes, a lot of the people are going to be like, oh, but age of consent is 14 in Japan. Fuck you for that.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing too. Also in Japan is like, but not necessarily Japan, but like in anime, like a lot of anime tend to go into a very young character, like a child. Yeah. And you're kind of sometimes thrown into these very dark themes. And, it makes you forget sometimes that these are children going through these themes. And you're like, oh shit, like they're going through some heavy shit and they're still children.
Those kind of stories, they're called coming of age. And those coming of age stories, they're designed that way so that we grow up with those characters. Like you and I, when we grew up with Goku, or when we grew up with Digimon or Pokemon or stuff like that. But yeah, that's why I think a lot of specifically anime watchers that only watch anime tend to have more teenage mentality than people that watch like things across the spectrum of entertainment. Because yes, they tell really deep stories. Don't get me wrong. I love anime. I have anime tattoos. I have manga. I have everything. But there is a level where I disconnect a little bit because I'm like, I'm 31. I just can't keep being like, oh my God, high school romance. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. But overall, I feel like, and this is not to say that it is always bad, right? Like you're mentioning, it's not always bad. And in general, also, the fan servicing is not always bad. So that's the whole point of the conversation that we're doing right now is also to bring out also the good areas of it.
Yeah. If the fan service serves a purpose, like for example, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where lust is literally the depiction of lust. So she's going to be with big boobs, and she's going to talk in a certain way, and she's going to handle herself in a certain way because that's her character. That's who she is. But if you have, for example, I love Fairy Tail with all my heart. I have a Fairy Tail tattoo. But every single character is half naked for 90% of the time. Yeah. And they could be going through something super traumatic, but the angles are always tits, ass, or junk.
Yeah, I mean, another one that I think that was very, very over-sexualized was the Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh.
Merlin was super
But Merlin, I don't mind as much because she's the same way. She's supposed to be a character who's a seductress.
Yeah, but still. But
Meliodas and what's her name? Elizabeth. Oh, that is just gets disgusting. It gets disgusting. Like, it gets to a point where it's like, I get it, you're supposed to be like forever lovers, but you don't have to grope her every 30 seconds, dude. Like, relax.
Yeah. But I mean, I can see it, also in the game, some other popular games that could come to my mind, Street Fighter, Bayonetta, right?
But exactly, like Bayonetta, I love when people, especially women, relate a lot to Bayonetta, because that character of Bayonetta, she's sexy, but she's secure. She knows that she's hot. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows that she could bring it and is not lustful the entire time because she kicks ass. She's a very powerful witch.
She's badass.
She's badass as fuck. Same thing with like Samus from Metroid. Yes, she's sexy. Yes, she's hot. But most of the time, you're seeing her in a power suit.
Right.
So you're not focusing on the hotness.
Right. And then just to kind of bring it into... Now, just jump into a little bit of that good fan service, continuing that good fan service. I think Marvel has done that for over the years, and they failed at some.
Absolutely.
And they succeeded at some, right? For example, let's just take the latest example, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. Fan service. They finally gave us a Wolverine with the suit. And that moment was fucking awesome. Like, the moment you see it on screen, the suit and everything, when he puts on the mask, it was a beautiful moment. It was great.
Thank you, and thank you for touching that, because we usually think of fan service as like panty shots or somebody like half naked, but fan service is literally serving the fans of the thing. So like when we get a comic accurate Wolverine, when we get a comic accurate Hulk, when we get a comic accurate, like I love the fact that now, like for example in Winter Soldier, we had the Secret Avenger suit, which is my favorite suit.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, that's Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Suit. So I was like, holy shit, that's a badass suit. And that is fan service because it gets me excited to see like, oh my God, that. So thank you for touching that.
Yeah, no, correct. Because again, Marvel has been doing it. And like I said, they've succeeded in some, they failed in some others. But definitely is one thing that across the years, I think they have been able to do really well is maintaining a good balance. Obviously, towards this latest section, I know they kind of have their ups and downs with some of the series that they released. But the whole era when we had Iron Man, when we had Captain America, right, when we had Thanos, you know, it was serving a purpose that everybody was very enjoying. Like the moments you can watch any video on YouTube of like the reactions of people when the Avengers assembled, when the hammer came in, you know, those scenes. You know, they're fan service and they were very, very good moments where everybody was like, okay, this is what we wanted, right? Collectively, this is what we wanted. It kind of fell off a little bit after. Yeah. And they've kind of had hit or misses here and there, you know, aside from some exceptions. I know some people really like Loki and some of the episodes from Loki were really good. WandaVision, Hawkeye. I know that some of them had some good, but also fell through the cracks a little bit. Of course. But
you can't be batting like 500, you know.
Yeah, you know, one of the other ones that I really am loving, it's Daredevil, and I'm ready to start watching the new Daredevil, Born Again, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
But you know, it's good. It's the fact that you're getting all those things that like make the comic great, make the hero great on the comics, and you're coming into it. I think that's where the fan service serves the right purpose in it. Yeah. And I think that's something very enjoyable to watch.
Correct. And speaking of Marvel, and I think that, you know, we deal a lot with fandoms when it comes to everything that we do, whether it's manga, whether it's anime, whether it's video games. Even stuff like sports and music and everything has a fandom. Everything has a group to it. Let me ask you, do you think that fandoms are making the media worse by being so vapid and so like passionate about it?
It's a very 50-50 question, right? Because for me, the answer it's yes and no. Right. There are some fandoms that really turn the tides. And again, I'm going to point out a great example in a movie, which was Sonic. When Sonic came out, the first rendition of the Sonic,
it was horrendous.
Yeah. And that's when fan service, the group came together and they were like, all right, that original Sonic was terrible. Let's try to make it happen into bringing a good Sonic. And we got a much better looking Sonic, which, you know, very accurate, very good looking, very, very cool. Is what I'm trying to say. Not good looking, but it looks good, right? It's a very nice rendition of a very beloved character. So I think it's good, and it could also be bad when it starts hurting, right? And I know that we always talk about anime and stuff like that, and some people disagree. A few times I've disagreed with what we said about, you know, the obscurity, not obscurity, but how dark some of the anime has gotten.
Correct.
But also you had to see how sometimes the desire to see more stronger characters and the aura and stuff like that also is creating more anime or having more effect on making more anime where like the characters like very overpowered, very like aura farming and the flashy fights. And don't get me wrong, I am a fan of those, right? I am a fan of those. So it's, again, we're not trying to be unbiased here. I'm trying to say I'm also a fan of them. Yeah. I really love an overpowered character. I think we talk about it, but it does hurt a little bit when we can lose storytelling because it's trying to please people. Correct. So I think that's what it is. What do you think?
I think that, I mean, this is gonna sound a little extreme, but I don't like groups as a whole because it starts becoming us versus them. Yeah. And if you don't like exactly what we like, and if you don't vibe with us in the same way that we vibe with each other, then you're not part of us. And I do believe that there are a lot of fandoms that end up hurting the media itself. The biggest example is My Hero Academia. We all know somebody that has made either really cringy art or really crude comments or really disgusting things that relate to My Hero Academia, that it brings it down. I've known people that are like, I wish to go to get more into anime. It's just the more I see about anime watchers, the less I want to watch anime because I don't want to be associated with that. So I believe that when fans really come together for something positive, that is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love when people come together for a greater good when it comes to either making something fair or making, like, for example, when Henry Cavill left the Witcher, everybody was like, we're done. We're not going to watch it. He is our Witcher. I stand with him. I stand with all of this. I love it when fandoms do that. What I disagree with is that, for example, I am sick and tired. I go to cons a lot. I am sick and tired of Deadpool's.
Yeah.
Because
sorry. I just want to interrupt really quickly. I think I appreciate that everybody kind of went with Henry Cavill on that, but I think it's also a little bit unfair to what was his name? Liam Hemsworth coming in to play the character, because they're not giving him a chance.
Yeah.
And I feel like, just like the original time that you were like, okay, the Witcher series is going to come out, everybody's kind of like, we'll see, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, and it turned out to be good. I feel like they also can give a little bit of that wiggle room and see how Liam does.
It's not about him. It's about the showrunners.
I understand. I'm just saying, like, I don't necessarily think the character, the actor who's going to come in and play should be. It's just because people are like immediately like, oh man, he's not going to be he's not going to be immediately jump in and are trashing the actor, and he hasn't even been in it yet.
Correct.
That's where I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about that they're doing a good job. I'm just saying, allow the actor to also come in and
correct
do it.
Yeah, like
without trashing the actor, without even playing the character.
When they trash the actor, that to me, like, for example, what happened,
he doesn't look like it or whatever. Say
when they trashed the actress, I forget her name, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna put it right here. The actress, the Asian actress from Star Wars, from the sequels, that they were sending her death threats. That they were threatening her home, her family.
Yeah.
Same thing that happened with Laura Bailey, that they were threatening her 3-year-old son at the time. It's like, guys, get a fucking life. I'm sorry. I understand that you like something. I understand that you're passionate about something. But you cannot just threaten somebody's life with it. And it's not about even like anime or media. We can also see it in sports. We see it all the time. My family has a way of saying things.
Right.
They say, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion, and you don't talk about sports. Why? Because sports, I've seen people beat the shit out of each other outside of a fucking bar because their team lost. And the other guys were like goading them.
They do.
So like in that sense, like, for example, I stopped watching sports because I would have discussions with my family of like, no, but this player is better. And they're like, no, fuck you. It's like,
yeah. People get very, they get heated very easily in the moment. They get carried away by the moment. So that's kind of what I wanted to say real quick. Just I get that the showrunners could be shit or whatever it is, but I don't think it's fair just to jump into the actor who's coming in and then just necessarily saying, oh, he's probably going to do a terrible job, he's not going to be good, he doesn't look like it. Just, give it the opportunity, because it's not the fault of the actor, right? That the showrunners are, whatever they're doing, but just allow the just kind of keep an open mind is what I'm trying to get at. Anyway, sorry, that's I know I interrupted what you were saying.
So what I was saying is that I'm tired of the Deadpool cosplayers because I understand Deadpool is a very random character. He does a lot of weird shit. That doesn't mean that you get a pass for doing really cringy, creepy, moronic shit.
Yes, I've seen that.
That ends up like affecting somebody else's con experience just because, it's so random. I've had to stop people because they were almost groping me. This is gonna sound so fucked up, but I was on this side, like the voice actor side. I was a guest, and somebody was like, "Oh my god!" and they started like grabbing, and I was like, "Bro, like, okay, enough. I'm sorry."
They're trying to play the character,
but it gets to a point where it's like, I understand that Deadpool is random. You're being an asshole.
But they're not Deadpool.
And they're not Deadpool.
That's the whole thing.
So
I could see it.
Yeah. So, but that's one thing also about like specifically cosplay. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna get into a little bit of a heavy topic, but something that really is prevalent in the cosplay community that I've even asked cosplayers, friends of mine, and this is their reasoning. The problem that they keep having is that there is a lot of stalking. There's a lot of over-sexualization of the person. And there's a lot of sexual assault and sexual abuse. I've asked friends of mine that are cosplayers, that are professional cosplayers, and I tell them, yo, like, why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? And their reasoning, and it's super solid reasoning to me, is that since we're playing characters and we're playing a lot of really, horny characters or characters that are over-sexualized, people associate us with that character. So we are not, Pepito Perez, we are Azula, or we are Deadpool, or we are, Lolita or whatever. So a lot of people, and this is also, cosplayers have also taken a part of all of this, because, they implement a lot of overly sexual stuff just to sell a little bit. But it gets to a point where, it's been controversy after controversy after controversy of, this guy's a creep, this guy's a stalker, this guy is sexually abused me, this guy groped me, this guy. So it's like, to the point where at cons, there has to be a sign that says cosplay is not consent. It's like, guys, it's basic fucking logic.
Yeah, but I don't understand why is it so difficult for a lot of people to kind of get through that mindset of the separation, right? Like they see the boundary and they feel like they can cross that boundary, right? Because you're on the other side, because you're cosplaying, that doesn't mean you can cross those boundaries. Correct. It doesn't mean that, but people tend to forget that, and that, it's not like I've been to a lot of Comic Cons or anything like that, or cons, as a matter of fact, probably been to like a few, or maybe one or two. But you see the cosplayers, and obviously they have very suggestive teams, right? Correct. When you see the big poster, and it's like very,
revealing.
Very revealing. And I understand, that you look at them and you're like, wow, that person maybe has a really nice body and everything like that, but it doesn't mean that you need to cross the boundaries with them. Correct. Right? It shouldn't, but it's difficult to maintain that. But one of the other things that I did want to talk about is, in terms of anime, I've seen a lot of I guess exaggerating the romance in a lot of anime, right?
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan of one specifically in Dandadan, because of that whole romantic tension they have going on.
Yeah.
But do you think it might be overdone a little bit?
No. Here's why. Because the characters, their love languages are opposite of each other. So there's a lot of ways. Like, for example, oh my God, I forgot her name. From Dandadan. Miss Ayase. Miss Ayase. She's very.
I was about to say something stupid.
Miss Ayase, she's very like physical. So she's like, when she likes somebody or when she feels a lot of emotions, she deals with it physically. So she will punch somebody, or she will like shake somebody or whatever. Whereas Okarun, he's very much an introvert. He's very like, oh my God, he's very anxious. So I love the fact that we're seeing an organic way of them developing that friendship first and then romance. There's a lot of media that jumps from not knowing each other to want to fuck each other to romance. That's not what it is. It has to be in a very thin line where you're like, I wish them for them to be together, just get them already. But at the same time, it's like, I love the fact that they're getting to know each other, getting to participate in a lot of both bombastic stuff, but and this is the part that I also love about Dandadan, is that they also, you show them in the regular lives in school. It's not always defeating demons, it's not always defeating dungeons. It's also, shit, I gotta go to class in 10 minutes. I have a paper to turn in, sorry, but deuces.
I feel like it still is a little bit exaggerated on the romantic side.
It can be.
Because there's a lot of moments, for example, with the girl with the pink hair, I forget her name. When she came in, she's like, oh, I really like Okarun. So it kind of started exaggerating a little bit on that end, and it kind of like very giggly and the love and stuff like that. And then the over-sexualization of the grandma. Right?
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing. But here's the thing. And thank you for bringing that up. If you see Ira, you see that Okarun doesn't like that. So you see that she's like, oh my God, I want him, which is how usually is in anime. Right. And you see that it's not welcomed by Okarun. So you're seeing that, oh shit, yes, it's funny, but they're also teaching you the lesson of it has to be slow, steady. It's So
it's
even
still there
though
too. I feel like it still has a degree.
But even though you see it in a bad light. You don't see it as encouraging. You see it as, this chick is a little much.
No. Yeah. I'm not saying necessarily it's bad. I'm just saying I feel like it's still a bit in the exaggerated side.
I mean, look at the first
when he starts getting jealous of when they're playing
Gigi.
soccer scene, when they're getting a little bit jealous of each other. I mean, it's there, right? And that's just one example with Dan. But there are a lot more that are a lot more intense, right? Other anime that are a little bit more intense on that end. Like I said, like we were talking about, maybe I don't know, is the Seven Deadly Sins considered an anime? Yeah. Okay, like the groping of Meliodas and Elizabeth. That's like consistent thing. It's like you're mine, and basically you can do whatever I want with you. So it's like
even like I love weird romantic comedy action things, because look at Spy Family. You see them at first be like, I'm just covering my assessing work, I'm just covering my spy work. But through the whole thing, you see them in the downtime of like, holy shit, I'm really starting to really like this person. Holy shit, I'm really starting to like this person. We can't really be together, but it's because of the downtimes. Yes, there's excitement in it, but for example, going to a school and pretending to be the parents of Anya. They're trying to be regular people, and in that trying and failing to be regular people, you get to see them more of like, you get to see her paralyze a fucking cow that is rampant, and he really likes that because he sees her strength.
Right.
So when it's just romance for romance's sake, and it's just really forced in, and just like these characters have to be together, and these characters have to be, people don't like it.
Yeah.
Because like look at Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online, the two main characters get together in like episode 10, and then the romance is just dies immediately because it's like, oh, okay, we're together.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it keeps the tension. I mean, one of the things that I personally also like about Dan is because it's a kid's romance where it makes you feel kind of, in a way, maybe when you're growing up, you kind of go through some of these things yourself. That when you're watching it again, you're kind of like, I used to do that shit. I used to be just like that. Of course. So it makes you feel like, okay, I can enjoy it because of that too. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy it. Like I said, I am not necessarily saying that it's bad. I'm just simply saying, because I really love Dan, and I think one of the greatest things was being able to relate to that degree where like, I'm like, I was an idiot.
I've done that cringy shit too.
Like there's cringy moments where you're like, oh man, I've done some cringy shit.
Oh yeah.
So, but do you think certain storylines, certain moments is keeping it away from more mature audiences? Or like it detracts certain, I guess, creators from doing more anime that could be targeted for more mature audiences because the fan service.
I don't even think it's the fan service itself. I think it's the themes that they're trying to touch. So, for example, you can have a great anime with really awesome themes, but also be kind of funny. Correct. But for example, one of my favorite fucking animes of all time, Hunter x Hunter. No, but also Hunter x Hunter. But also, I can't believe I forgot the name of it.
Wow. You know which one is one of mine? Hellsing.
Hellsing is awesome. And Hellsing Ultimate has a bunch of really goofy moments between really gory, really dark scenes that you're like, fuck.
Dun 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 dun.
Now we're gonna do the same thing that I did for a previous episode. Talk about something.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, I'm actually Shangri-La Frontier, which is an anime about this guy who
Monster. Sorry, I remembered. Monster. I'm so sorry. Monster. I'm sorry. It's just that I was about to.
I think I had my moment to shine for a minute. I was
go.
I'm about to talk a lot about this. No. Go with Monster. Go with Monster. I'll talk about it.
Go.
I'll talk about Triangular
so,
Frontier.
So Monster.
That was a little. What was that? What the fuck was that? Cut that shit. You're like.
So for I was trying to comfort you, you fucking prick.
Monster.
You motherfucker. So Monster.
Which is it's a very serious
you
theme.
Motherfucker. Now you got me on the giggles too.
It's a very serious theme.
There are a lot of very serious themes, and it's dark without actually looking dark. Because there's a lot of things of like child abuse, manipulation, indoctrination, schizophrenia, murder, psychopathy. Like it has a lot of really dark things. And yes, it has its kind of funny moments, but it's not goofy.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't rely on that goofiness. So things can have levity to it without being dumb or goofy or whatever.
Spit on that thing. Shit, I'm so sorry. I just saw the fucking.
The fuck is wrong with you, Zay?
Bro, I just saw the fucking spit come out and land on that thing. So from my point of view, I just see a fucking droplet of saliva on your mic.
Focus.
I am.
You're focusing on this.
Oh yeah.
All right, Shangri-La Frontier.
Yeah, no, actually, I kind of wanted to touch on another anime that I highly, highly recommend, which is Pluto on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It's about Astro Boy. Oh. And I think I had mentioned it to you before, which is a very, very serious theme, which is the robots. There is a robot that is hunting, they're like a group of like really, really advanced robots, including Astro Boy, which is supposed to be the most advanced robot. And there's a detective who's also an android or robot, whatever you want to call it. And they're trying to figure out why they're being hunted. The most advanced androids are being hunted. And it is very serious. Doesn't have any goofy moments. Episodes are very long, about 40 minutes to an hour. They're very long, but it's very nice. It's very well animated, very well voice acted, and the theme is very, very dark and very serious, where you don't get a lot of that break in between of like, oh, there's like a little comedic side of it. So I really love that. And sometimes we talk about like the most mainstream ones and stuff like that, but there's so many more anime there to watch that have like these serious themes that are very dark. Like Deadman Wonderland is another one that is very serious, very dark. The prisoners, and they're kind of put into this kind of like Squid Game sort of thing where they're like playing to kill themselves. But again, I feel like it could detract a little bit from some mature audiences when you're using too much of that, because then people are going to watch it and they're going to be like, this looks like it's made for kids. Yeah. And they're missing out on a great story. Like that's like yeah, it's a great story. It's a very fun story to watch. It's just people are going to be like,
they're ripping the girl's clothes in the first 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever.
So I could see it personally how it could detract someone, the so-called more mature audience, because I wouldn't consider myself one of those mature audiences.
Because look, even like we've all seen that meme of you're watching anime like before your parents come in, and it's a very serious scene, and as soon as they come in, it's like somebody's boobs in the screen. They're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Yeah, it happens all the time. That's why I appreciate something like JJK. JJK has really strong female characters.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, okay.
It's because for whoever doesn't know what JJK stands for.
Well, they can suck my butt.
They could think of, I don't know, J.K. Rowling or something. So I'm like,
just kidding.
So I just want to make sure, if you say JJK or like AOT, Attack on Titan.
Yeah. If you don't know it, watch anime. But Jujutsu Kaisen, I really like the fact that all of the characters are multidimensional. Even the characters that you're like, they barely have any screen time. You're like, I get them, and you have characters like Maki. Maki's a fucking badass. Like, what's her name? Kugisaki. Kugisaki's a fucking badass too. Even characters like Mei that are over-sexualized. That the point of it is that she's sexy. She's a fucking powerhouse when it comes to what she does.
They're badasses.
And you know who's the character that it gets over-sexualized?
Who?
Gojo.
Oh yeah.
who is a guy, which is really rare that a guy gets over sexualized, but
it's them eyes, bro.
It's the eyes,
He's
it's the
got
hair,
the eyes,
yeah.
man.
And
he just goes like this, and the eyes come out, and everybody's like,
bro, I'm sorry, I gotta admit it. Kaiji Tang, the English voice actor for Gojo, I've told him to his face, I'm like, bro, you have a fucking sexy ass voice. I'm sorry. When he's like, are you crying? I was like, oh boy. Here's my money. Yeah. So
Gojo's awesome, dude.
Gojo's awesome.
Sorry, I can't say.
There's even people that sexualize Toto, which I was like, okay, Toto's an odd choice, but hey, you like what you like. Different strokes for different folks.
Just like somebody's gonna sexualize Sukuna.
Oh,
for sure,
always. And yeah, like the male characters are the ones that are actually getting a little bit more sexualized, which it's appreciated. It's appreciated that you can look at a male character and be like, okay, like not only Suguna but also oh my god, Nanami, the blonde one, Nanami,
also the guy with the ponytail.
That's Toto.
Oh shit! I'm so sorry. I am terrible with names.
Also,
bad.
Also,
Nanami, I'm so very
Toji
sad
Fushiguro.
About Nanami. Anyways,
Toji Fushiguro, he also gets super sexualized. So I like the fact that like now it's not so gross on the men's side to be like, oh, another pair of tits. Now it's women being like, damn. So it's like, okay. You're finding balance,
and then it also ties back down to that first part that I was talking about, like making beautiful characters.
Yeah,
right. It's a beautiful character, and they emphasize the features that make the character beautiful, like Gojo, like when the blue eyes come out, it's just like that moment, everything is shining. His eyes are just animated so beautifully.
They're sparkling.
The animation for his eyes are just so beautiful to the point where like you're even as a guy, you're like, god damn, like those eyes
you're like, damn eyes, bro.
You're like, fuck, like the eyes are so well animated. The show is generally speaking very well animated,
extremely well, so
but the characters look good. When you see the characters, they just look good. All of them, and they're good looking characters. Except the monsters. Like that would be the only one you're like, eh. But other than that, it's the characters are beautiful. So just to go to the last one, the last section is music. I feel like TikTok in a way has affected how music has been written on the past couple of, like, certain artists and maybe some studios are kind of trying to gear their music towards TikTok and becoming I guess hits on TikTok, because and TikTok becomes viral real quick, and you hear that song for like, bro, days end, and you're like, who the is this artist, right? And you're like, well, you find good artists that you've maybe never seen before or heard before. Sometimes it could be affecting some artists to write songs to try to make it into becoming popular.
Yeah, they used to call that in the 80s, they called that the radio effect. A lot of the bands and the singers used to make specific songs, so they would play it more in the radio. Like metal bands making ballads, like, Metallica with Nothing Else Matters, and System of a Down making A Lonely Day. But also you had bands like, Aha, that made Take On Me, it's their greatest song, but they've also made so many other beautiful, amazing songs that are not going to play in the radio. So they used to call that the radio effect. Now is the TikTok effect, where I've been lucky to find a lot of music through TikTok that I'm like, I love the song. Yeah. Like, Teddy Swims with Lose Control, like Hozier with Too Sweet. Or like Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga.
I forget the name of the song, but I know what you're talking about.
I was thinking about this the entire time I was trying to say it.
And even older songs have gotten a lot more recognition again after so many years, because people are listening. I've
even heard cumbias from the 60s that are like, Jesus, holy shit, it's getting popularity again. Like the one that is like,
you know which one was so funny to me? Mi mujer me controla. Mi mujer me controla.
Yeah. I've even heard like fucking Cucharita, bro. En la vereda de Velandia, en el municipio de Saboya. Anyways,
it's bringing, it's also bringing old music, but also I feel like it could potentially be affecting how some songs are written because they're trying to please the fans.
I mean, look at Dua Lipa. In 2020, Dua Lipa's main music video has a big ass TikTok logo. So you know that they're getting written specifically for a specific audience and to be as catchy as possible. Like, for example, I don't like, what's his name? BB No Money or whatever. He keeps making music that I'm like, I don't like that music. If you enjoy it, awesome. I don't want to detract from that, but I don't enjoy it. But there's other artists, like I said, like Teddy Swims or Hosier, that I'm like, I've never heard of this guy. Fuck yeah, I want to learn more about that. You know, and their songs are very specifically written where I'm a big country fan. Old country fan, not this new country, but old country. So there's a lot of, like, Teddy Swims has that country R&B combination that I'm like, fuck yeah. Or Hosier has that, like, rock and roll old timey voice that I'm like, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know if this is something that is happening. I feel like studios are going to start pushing a little bit more for that, like, to the point where when and I think we mentioned this before, social media and, like, the attention that you're getting in social media is the most valuable currency right now.
Correct.
So if an artist maintains that popularity, that's where the artist could sell. And I feel like it's going to be a big selling point for a lot of studios, for a lot of labels too. It's like, you have to stay relevant. Yeah. Like, if you stop being relevant, it's out. Like, you're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's very cyclical of how it used to be. First it was radio, then it was TV, then it was movies, then now it's TikTok, it's social media. You know, this guy, the one that was like, I took a pill and it bees.
Yeah, Mike Posner.
Mike Posner. You know, he talks about how his first 3 songs were platinum hits, but just because it wasn't as popular as the previous one, they shelved it. And it's a terrible way of doing things.
He wrote some really good songs.
He wrote Sugar. He wrote Boyfriend. He wrote, like, a bunch of stuff. That
very talented guy.
Very, very talented. But just because he didn't hit with a certain demographic, I think it blindsided his career.
Which, again, is talking about that currency of staying relevant.
Correct.
Like, being popular.
And if you think about it, there's going to be a lot of music from, this is kind of a prediction of mine, there's going to be a lot of music from the 70s and 80s for this new generation that is just going to come back in waves. A, because it's written better.
Yeah.
B, because there's actual people making the music. It's not, you know, do you know what MIDI is? MIDI. So MIDI is basically like a plugin so that you could play whatever in a piano and it could sound like a guitar. It could sound like beats. It could sound. So I have friends that are professional musicians
that are doing that now.
No, they say I fucking hate MIDIs. They're super convenient in a lot of ways because you could literally play a drum beat. And it could be like boom boom ba boom 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 ba boom 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 ba. You don't have to actually know how to do it. There's a lot of people that don't know how to play actual instruments that are making music that it's like, oh, it sounds like everything else. So I truly hope, and I hope my prediction comes true, that all of the music that are done by actual musicians, that is written by actual writers, that they wrote their own stuff, they don't have a bunch of ghostwriters, and you see that it has deeper themes, it has more social consciousness. Like I saw somebody recently reacting to BYOB from System of a Down. That is a very anti-government song, and I fucking love it. So I hope those things come back. Yeah, correct.
No, it is happening. It's going to be inevitably happening on the upcoming, I guess, years or so, because it's happening. And also when they're added into popular shows, it also gives a lot of exposure to them. Like, you know, Stranger Things.
I was about to say that Stranger Things with metal. Yeah,
absolutely. So
even look at like Paul Anka with Head on My Shoulders. That song is from the 40s.
Yeah,
I love the fact that it's coming back. Same thing with like a few, what's this guy's name? Ray Charles songs. I love that they're bringing them back into the fold.
Yeah. They will remain relevant so long somebody makes them popular in TikTok.
Correct.
So long somebody's always continue to make them popular. Yeah, they will remain relevant. But without the social media as we know it now, we have it to thank for a lot of stuff, good stuff, and also bad stuff,
like anything.
But regardless, let us know what you think down in the comments. join the conversation. Let us know how you feel. Is social media affecting too much? Is fan serving damaging any of the things that you like, right? Whether it's music, anime, games, whatever it is, or even movies.
I want to post a question to the audience. What is one song that you were surprised that gained a lot of popularity, and what is one song that you're like, oh my god, I love this song and I love this artist because of social media? Please comment down below.
Yeah, absolutely. And so without further ado, where can they find you on social media?
They can find me in most social media places as Juanfe Sierra or Juanfe Sierra Cortez. And what about you?
I'm just Dan Valder and Instagram. But we'll see you guys on Mondays at 7 p.m. So stay tuned.
Booyah!